The vast, frozen expanse of Siberia is as beautiful as it is merciless. When I set out on what was supposed to be a 2-week hiking expedition, I never imagined that I would find myself in a fight for survival, alone, in one of the most unforgiving wildernesses on Earth. It began as an adventure, a challenge to conquer the remote Siberian taiga. The plan was to trek through the dense forest, over the rugged mountains and along the icy rivers, immersing myself in nature's untouched beauty. Equipped with gear and provisions, I felt ready to face the wilderness. But nature has a way of humbling even the most prepared explorer. The trouble started when a sudden snowstorm hit, disorienting me and throwing my plans into chaos. The white-soot conditions were blinding, the cold biting. In my attempt to find shelter, I made a fateful mistake. I veered off my planned route, and that's when I realized I was lost, with no way to communicate with the outside world. As the reality of my situation sank in, a profound sense of isolation gripped me. I was alone, with only my wits and will to survive in a land where the environment was as stunning as it was dangerous. The days ahead would test me in ways I never imagined. The Siberian taiga is an endless maze of dense forests and treacherous terrain. Each day, I pushed forward, navigating through thick underbrush and over snow-covered hills, using only a compass and the sun as my guides. My initial confidence began to wane as the harsh reality of the wilderness set in. Food quickly became a pressing concern. My provisions, meant for a 2-week journey, were dwindling fast. I resorted to foraging, relying on my limited knowledge of eatable plants and berries. The taiga was both a hostile and generous provider. While it offered sustenance, it demanded vigilance and respect in return. Water was plentiful, but the risk of hypothermia from the freezing streams was ever present. I learned to melt snow for drinking, conserving my fuel as much as possible. Shelter was another challenge. I had to be creative, using fallen branches and leaves to insulate my tent against the biting cold. Nightfall brought its own set of fears. The howls of wolves echoed in the distance, a haunting reminder that I was not alone in this wilderness. I would lie awake, fire crackling, pondering my predicament. The isolation was palpable, a constant companion in the vast, silent expanse of the taiga. As days turned into weeks, the initial shock of my situation gave way to a routine of survival. I became more attuned to the rhythms of the wild, the patterns of the weather, and the habits of the wild life. It was a life stripped down to the basics, a test of endurance and resilience. I realized that to survive, I had to adapt, to become a part of this harsh yet majestic land. As the days stretched on, survival became a daily battle against the elements. The harsh Siberian winter was unforgiving, with temperatures often plummeting well below freezing. I faced challenges that I had never anticipated. Building a fire was no longer just a skill. It was a necessity for warmth and for melting snow to drink. Each spark I managed to ignite felt like a small victory against the relentless cold. Hunting was another skill I had to quickly learn. Armed with only a basic knife and the rudimentary traps I constructed, I set out to catch small game. The first time I successfully trapped a rabbit, it was a bittersweet moment. The reality of taking a life for my survival was sobering, yet it was essential for my sustenance. Shelter was a constant concern. My tent was sturdy, but the weight of the snow and the howling winds tested its limits. I often had to dig it out of snowdrifts, reinforcing it with branches. On nights when the aurora borealis danced across the sky, its beauty was a stark contrast to the struggle for survival on the ground. The most daunting challenge, however, was the mental battle. Loneliness and the sense of isolation were my constant companions. I missed human contact, the sound of another voice, the laughter and warmth of company. The silence of the wilderness was profound and at times overwhelming. Despite the hardships, there were moments of profound beauty and peace. The pristine nature of the wilderness, the purity of the snow-covered landscape, and the resilience of the wildlife were awe-inspiring. These moments were a reminder of why I embarked on this journey, to connect with nature at its most raw and unfiltered. But as the weeks passed, the pressing question remained: would I be able to find my way back to civilization? Or would the Siberian wilderness claim me as its own? As weeks turned into months, my initial desperation transformed into a determined resolve. I had become more adept at surviving in the wilderness, but the uncertainty of rescue weighed heavily on me. Each morning, I would climb to the highest nearby vantage point, scanning the horizon for any sign of rescue or civilization, only to be greeted by the endless expanse of the Siberian taiga. My daily routine was grueling but necessary. I would set traps, gather wood for fire, and forage for food. The forest provided berries and nuts, and on rare occasions, I would catch fish from the icy streams. These small triumphs were crucial, not just for my survival, but for maintaining my morale. I also focused on staying healthy and avoiding injuries. A simple cut or a twisted ankle could be catastrophic in such conditions. I fashioned basic tools and weapons from stones and wood, not only for hunting, but for protection against predators. The presence of bears and wolves was a constant threat, reminding me that I was not the only hunter in these woods. The isolation was challenging, but it also provided time for introspection. I found myself reflecting on my life, the decisions I had made, and what was truly important. This involuntary retreat from the world was a harsh but enlightening teacher. I learned to appreciate the simple joys of life, like the warmth of the sun on my face or the beauty of a starlit night. Despite the harsh conditions, I felt a deep connection with nature. I learned to read the signs of the forest, the tracks of animals, and the changing weather patterns. This connection was my lifeline, guiding me through each day. But as the second month approached, the reality of my situation became more pressing. My physical strength was waning, and the challenges of the wilderness were unrelenting. The thought of spending another winter in these conditions was daunting. I knew I had to make a move to try and find my way back, to reconnect with the world I had left behind. The journey ahead would be perilous, but staying put was no longer an option. I had to take the risk if I wanted to survive. With determination set in my heart, I began preparing for the journey back to civilization. I knew the risks were immense, but the thought of another harsh winter in isolation was a greater danger. I carefully crafted a plan based on my limited knowledge of the terrain and the position of the sun. I rationed my remaining food, packing only the essentials. My backpack was light, but every item was crucial for survival. A small pot for melting snow, my makeshift knife, a flint for starting fires, and a rough map I had drawn from memory. The morning I set out was one of the coldest yet, the air biting at any exposed skin. I left a note in my tent, a message for anyone who might find it, detailing my journey and my hope to find help. With a deep breath, I stepped into the unknown, the snow crunching under my feet. The journey was treacherous. I navigated through dense forests, crossed frozen rivers, and traversed snow-covered hills. Each step was a battle against fatigue, hunger, and the elements. I kept a vigilant eye for wildlife, knowing that a confrontation with a predator could be fatal. There were moments when I felt like giving up, when the weight of my situation felt too heavy to bear. But the thought of seeing my family and friends again, of feeling the warmth of a home, pushed me forward. I recalled all the stories of survival I had read, drawing strength from the resilience of those who had faced similar ordeals. After several days of relentless trekking, my body weak but my spirit unbroken, I spotted something in the distance, a faint wisp of smoke rising into the sky. A surge of hope filled me. Smoke meant fire, and fire meant people. With the last ounces of my strength, I quickened my pace, moving towards the sign of life. As I approached, I saw a small cabin, its chimney billowing smoke. I had finally found a sign of civilization, a beacon of hope in the vast wilderness. I reached the cabin, my emotions overwhelming me as I knocked on the door, my journey of survival coming to an end. The door opened and I was greeted by the astonished faces of a group of hunters. They were the first people I had seen in 2 months, and to me, they were nothing short of saviors. They welcomed me in, providing food, warmth, and the promise of a safe return home. As I sat by the fire, relishing the company of others, I realized how this harrowing experience had changed me. I had faced the raw power of nature, the brink of despair, and the strength of the human spirit. This was not just a tale of survival. It was a testament to the resilience and tenacity within us all. As I sat in the warmth of the hunter's cabin, slowly regaining my strength, the reality of my experience began to sink in. I had survived 2 months in the unforgiving Siberian wilderness, a feat that seemed impossible in hindsight. The journey had taken a toll on me, both physically and mentally, but it also imbued me with a newfound sense of resilience and self-reliance. The hunters, amazed by my story, arranged for my transportation back to civilization. The journey home was a blur, a mix of relief, exhaustion, and a profound sense of gratitude. When I finally reunited with my family, the emotions were overwhelming. The joy of seeing them again, feeling their embrace, was indescribable. My ordeal in the wilderness had given me a deeper appreciation for the people in my life and the bonds we shared. Reflecting on my time in the Siberian wilderness, I realized it was more than just a story of survival. It was a journey of self-discovery, of pushing beyond the limits I thought I had. I had faced my deepest fears, battled loneliness and despair, and emerged with a stronger understanding of who I was and what I was capable of. The experience also gave me a profound respect for nature's power and beauty. I had seen the harshness and the majesty of the wild, and it had left an indelible mark on my soul. I understood that nature was not just a backdrop for adventure, but a force to be respected and preserved. Back in the comfort of my home, the memories of the Siberian wilderness remained vivid in my mind. The cold nights, the endless snow, the moments of despair, and the bursts of hope. These memories were now a part of me, a testament to the human spirit's capacity to endure and overcome. In sharing my story, I hope to inspire others to respect nature's might and to believe in their strength. We all have an untapped well of resilience within us. Sometimes it takes being lost to truly find ourselves. My journey in the Siberian wilderness was a testament to this. A tale of survival, discovery, and the unyielding strength of the human spirit.